As I mentioned, thank you very much for attending today's webinar. Today's webinar is going to be on Store, which is our website platform. And we're going to be going in on the back end, which is the management area. And we're going to be looking at how to create forms and putting various types of forms onto your website so that customers can come on and fill out either testimonial forms or feedback forms or request for quote forms. So we'll go ahead and do that today. I'm going to go ahead, I'm working with this website. So to get into that management area, I'm going to go /manage, and that will go into my login information. So I'll go ahead and log in using my email. Okay, so many of you are probably familiar with this, but this is the management area, and you should see it on the back of every website. So your distributor website, as well as if you are working with company stores. So if you have company stores for some of your customers, you're going to see the same management area on the back end of those sites. And because we're going to be working with forms today, that is all going to be located under content. So if we go to the content drop-down on the navigation toolbar, I click on forms. And when I do that, it's going to list forms that I might have already created. And I can see those forms and I can also edit those forms. So I do have one form that I've already created for this site. It's a customer feedback form. And I do have one response. It's indicating that there's been one response. I'll show you after we create the forms where you can view those responses. But if I click on edit, this is going to allow me to edit this existing form that has already been created. So the attributes area, which is this top area, has your reference, which is basically the name of the form, the title of the form. It also mentions what you want the button text to be. So when they submit the form, you also have the response text and email results. So you have this information under attributes. If you scroll down, when you create a form, it's actually created by using different fields. And on this particular form, there are 3 fields, 2 text fields, and a drop-down list. And basically, one of the text fields is asking for name, email, and then there's a service rating. To add a new field, you just click on Add New Field, and that'll give you some options along the left-hand side for you to choose the type of form field that you want to add. So as I mentioned, we have text, so you could select text. You have a text box, so if you want them to enter an address, you could go ahead and put a text box on your form. There is the ability to upload a file, so if you want to give them access to uploading a file, you just select file, and that's going to allow them to upload a file. So if I select file, it's going to give me a title. So maybe we want to say artwork. And description is optional, but if I want them to have to upload a file, I can say that this is a required field. Now, if I don't want it to be a required field, then I just don't check that yes. And you can see again, there's some other areas and fields that you can add. So if I go ahead and save my changes, you'll see now that I've added a text field, or I'm sorry, a file field to that form. So if I come up and I save those changes again to that form that I've edited, I can view where that form is, and I'm not quite sure where I've put this form. So we're not going to put the form on a page just yet. We're going to create a new form. So to create a new form from scratch, we're going to go back over to that content. And if I go to forms, there's this little plus over here. So if I just click on that plus, that's going to allow me to create a new form. So I can give it a reference. So we could say request a quote. And we'll give it a title. And I always just put submit in here, but it's completely up to you. And response text is thank you for your query. And then I can have my email results sent to me. And CAPTCHA is just allowing you to put a code in there so that when people come on and they fill out a form, you're not getting a bunch of spam responses. So it does make them use that CAPTCHA code before that they can submit that form. So you have that information put in. So if I hit save, the attributes part of that form has been saved. And now I can scroll down here, and under fields, it's populated the add new field link. So if I just want to click on that, I can just go ahead and, using those fields again, build the form that I want to create. So the first line, I want to be a text box, and I want to say company name. And this is going to be required. And we can add a new field. And maybe this time we want to put contact name. I'm moving quicker than the internet. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hit text, and we'll do contact name. And we can make this required and save changes. So the next we might want to do a email. So we'll go ahead and add another line, new field. And we'll use a couple different options and fields. So we'll go ahead and use a text box, or actually we'll leave a text single line, and we'll say email here. But then let's use a different type of field, like a drop down or a selectable field. So we'll go ahead and wait for that to be added to the form. Okay, and we'll add that other field. And this time we'll mix it up a little bit and create a field using one of the other options. Okay, and because we've already used a file upload, we're going to go maybe use a selectable list so that they can select several different items. So we could do that, or we could do a checkbox. Let's use a checkbox. So we'll do checkboxes, and we'll do so maybe we can do categories, and this is required. And then here we can go is we're going to enter those options. So we could say maybe apparel, enter, promotional products. We could just put drinkware. And I don't know, we'll just do pins and print. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save our changes there. So the first step that is the creation of that form. So you need to do that first. So we've gone ahead and named this form, created the form by using these fields down here. So what we'll do is I'll save my changes, and this is now going to be added to my form list. So now what I need to do is I need to figure out, where do I want this form? Do I want it on the home page? Do I want it on the Contact Us page? So I can come over here to Content and Pages. And I need to determine where this form needs to exist. So for instance, if I want it to be maybe on the contact page, or here we have an inquiries page. So if we want to put it on an inquiries page, we can click on the contents of that page. Oh, okay. Well, let's add a page. Let's do a new page. And we'll call it Request to Quote. Okay, so we'll give it a Request to Quote title. And we'll also put that on the end of the URL. And you can put the meta description, the meta keywords for that page that you're creating. And we're just going to go ahead and add that new page. So again, just like the form, we added the attributes of the page, which is the name and page title. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to edit the contents of that specific page. So if I click on Edit Layout and Contents, now everything that's grayed out is obviously something that's editable on the overall layout. So we're going to scroll down, excuse me, and I'm going to come to this text HTML that's already in place. So I can come in and edit this module, but what I really need to put on the page is a form module to bring in that form that we created. So if I come up here, I'm going to delete the text module just by hitting that X. And then I'm going to come up here to my drop down list of modules. So if I come in here, I'm going to grab my text module, or I'm sorry, my form module. Let's grab that. Okay. So there's my form drop down. So what I can do here is use this drop down list and grab the request for quote. So I'm going to grab request for quote, and that's the form that's going to be inserted. So I'm going to say save. And now if I scroll down, you can see there's the request a quote form. So what I'm going to do is come up here. I'm going to publish that page that we just created, which means I'm going to be able to push that to the front end of the site. So you would definitely want to make sure that you're pushing publish. And then what we're going to do is we're going to need to link that page that we just created with our form to the overall site. So the best thing that we need to do is go into Appearance, and we need to go into Overall Layout. And to link that page, you do need to link it either to the header area or the category area. So you have a couple options. You could put your Request a Quote page up here and add it to the header toolbar, or you could add a new bookmark module and you could put it along the side. So it's up to you. Here's the category. So I could put it over here if I wanted to. I could add it to the list. So I'll do both to show you how that works. So if we scroll up, to edit this header module, I'm just going to click on this little pencil. And I'm going to use this drop down and select what I want to add, which is a page. And then using my drop down, I can go and find my Request a Quote page and insert that. And when I hit insert, it's going to appear here to the right hand side. I can change the order in which that appears on the toolbar by clicking on that and dragging that down and hitting save. So that's going to populate that on the header toolbar. So you can see where that was added right here. Now to add it to this other bookmarks module, I can come in here and do the same. I can hit the pencil edit. I can come over here to this drop down, select what I want to add, which is a page. And this works also if you're adding categories. You can bring it in the same way. You just need to be within a bookmarks module to link that to the overall layout. So we're going to go grab the request a quote page and hit insert. And again, you can click and drag and put it in its proper place. So we'll go ahead and hit save. And then it's added it right there. So now with those changes, what we're going to do is again publish everything we've done here today. And we're going to go ahead and view the site now. So if I come up here and I hit view site, we can preview what that site looks like. So we'll scroll down. But right here, you now have it on the toolbar. So if we go up to request a quote and we click on that, it will open up that page, and here we have our information. So we just fill that out, check the categories that you want to quote on, and type in the CAPTCHA code and submit. And that's going to send an email to that email address that we put in on the back end so that you can get that quote. And you also have it here. So if we clicked on this, this is also going to take us to the same page that we're on. So you can see that as well. Okay, so the last thing that I want to do today before we conclude is talk about how you get your form responses. There's a couple areas on the site that you can go to. One I already mentioned, when you put that email address in, it will email you the response. So if someone fills out a form, you're going to get an email and it will let you know what that form response is in your email. The other thing that you have available, if we go to the Management Console, we seem to be spinning here, so we hit a close out of that. We'll go into, so we're in the management area. Now what I want to do is under inquiries, you have form responses. It's this last one right down here. So in addition to that email, you can click on form responses and it will keep track of all the form responses on the back end of your site. So, you know, granted, you're going to get an email, but you also can come into the management area and view your form responses by going to inquiries and form responses. We'll give it a couple seconds. And while we're waiting to load that page, I can take some questions at this time. Okay. So here's the form responses. So it would give you a list of all the different responses to the forms on your site. And you can edit those forms as well as view your response. So if you click on view response, that's going to allow you to go in and see what that response was. So right here, this was just one of the customer feedback forms. It was a name, email, and service rating. So you can see what the customer put there. But again, if you wanted to upload artwork, you would see an artwork button and you could download or export the artwork out of your system that maybe they want on a particular mug, shirt, or so forth. So that basically concludes today's webinar. I do welcome you to attend many other webinars, and I have recorded this one, so we will be posting it up on our Trade Only training site, which is www.tradeonly.com. So if we put that up there for you. And if you go over to company, you'll see training and support under this drop down. Support is our direct line, so if you have any questions, you can definitely give support a call. And then training is going to be everything to do with training. So you can view webinars, videos, there's special one-on-one training sessions that you can sign up for. There's also forms and manuals. So if you want to see any manuals, we have a complete step-by-step guide on the management area of websites, your store, as well as those of you that are using Vision. We have like an 85-page manual on that. So you can view, again, help sheets. Because today we've been working in the websites, remember that it is store when you have a website. And then here you can see the help sheets and videos that pertain to that. Today's webinar will actually be going up under the webinars, and it will be under the recorded webinars for you to view. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar, and I hope to see you on many more. Have a great rest of your day.